What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dynasty Rewind YouTube channel. Day 3 and the entire draft is in the books, and as you just saw, fantastic announcement coming from the Dynasty Rewind crew. Our first ever rookie draft is now available. Rookie draft guide is now available. Got over 70 pages of content. You got our guys in there. We have strategy pieces from our very own Bob Van Duzer. We got player profiles and so much more. Link is down below. We'll play that video again throughout the stream. And if you have any questions, throw some comments in there. Sean will bring them up. But we are back to recap the draft and do some mock drafting today. I'm joined by my post-draft co-host. We got Nate Christian, Bob Van Duzer, and Zack Duarte. Gentlemen, draft is done.
The draft is done, and what a roller coaster. What a roller coaster, I would say. I mean, I thought the first round was great. The beginning of day 2 was great. And then, I don't even know what happened.
Then day 3 happened.
I mean, yeah. This running back class, it's not what we said. It's not what we said it was going to be.
No.
Unfortunately.
It's sad. Running backs don't matter. Tight ends do. That's what we learned. I'm trying to tell you. But nobody wanted to listen. So
someone was trying to tell us.
Yeah, somebody tried to tell you. I guess they do matter. But before we get into doing some of the good stuff that we're going to be doing today, does anyone have any opinions on day 3? Any one thing that stands out? Any shockers? Anything like that? Zach, why don't we start with you? Anything that you wanted to touch on?
I mean, we talked about it before we got off the show yesterday. Just watch where the quarterbacks land. A lot of quarterbacks went yesterday.
Yeah, way more than I expected.
Right.
Way more.
Which is indicative of the quarterback play last season where we saw 64 starting quarterbacks. And I gave you a list of week 17 quarterbacks. So these are investments. We're going to talk about this throughout the rest of the show, how these late round picks that we have, we don't love them anymore, but if you can't get rid of them, take a shot on a quarterback, man, and put it on your taxi. And you might need that quarterback week 16, week 17.
Yeah, Tanner McKee. Yep.
Yeah, anybody. Jaron Hall, Jake Hanner, anybody.
We kind of like Jake Hanner around here, I think.
I think we do. But one thing he did forget to mention about the draft guide, link is in the description for that. So get over there, check that out. And also, this is also live Q&A, so drop your questions, drop a like as well. We want to hear all the comments.
If you're not subscribed, please subscribe.
That'd be dope. We want to hear your thoughts on the draft as well. We want to hear what you're thinking, how you feel, what are your initial reactions. We want to know how you guys are feeling and all of those things. And we know we're going to get a lot of questions today. We won't be able to get to all of them. So if you want those addressed quick, we will be addressing all super chats with priority, immediate response, or as quick as we can. If we get piled up on super chats, obviously we're going to go one by one. But that is going to be the first of probably several times you'll hear that whole spiel today. And in case you missed it, we do have a rookie draft guide. Details for that are in the description, so don't forget about checking that out. We are tired. We stayed up till 2 in the morning. We woke up at whatever. 7 I was up at 6, plugging away on rankings and things like that. So we are really proud of this product. Over 70 pages of content. It is incredible, beautiful, stylistically, it's great. Sean, you did a great job.
Shout out to Sean. Sean did a great job. He put together a lot of what this draft guide is, a lot of the structure, the bones of it, the graph design. Sean really carried the team with this draft guide.
And Zack carried us last night. Making coffee at 1 in the morning.
Loved it.
It was incredible.
Needed it.
I was rubbing feet.
No, that did not
That I did not ask for.
We also banished Mike to the corner like the Arizona Cardinals did to their guy in the
That is fun. And one other thing that I want to mention too, priority response 24/7 comes right through our phones. I was talking to Nick Burnett, one of our longtime supporters and patrons, patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. I was talking to him through some trade scenarios. Nick, I do know that you have a message in here. I didn't open it because I don't want to forget to respond to it, but we had to do this. So I'll be getting back to you shortly. $10 discount if you sign up for a full year. You can get unrequited. Hi, Jenna. I will be home soon. That's my beautiful wife. Sean, thank you for actually putting her comment up there today.
Oh, wow.
But for $10.80, you can get full Discord access. And I got to be honest with you, our Discord community is fantastic. Lots of great people in there. We have 144 patrons, and there's room for many more. So, Sean, do we have any comments that we want to bring up? So this is from Jasmine. I just got finished scouting Downs after being high on him pre-tape.
But, that must have been curious. So Josh Downs I like a lot still. Still not too worried about that. But, obviously it would have been nice to see him go a little earlier. I think the
one pick earlier would have been really
one
nice.
pick earlier would have been just – but it is what it is. We got to live with what happened and, move on. I still love the landing spot. I think,
Me
kind of wheels up for some of that offense. A functional quarterback with a live arm coming in. I know functional is probably a loose term there, but you have to expect that this offense is able to take some steps forward and go from there. And I think Josh Johnson has opportunity in this offense, especially a lot of positive hype coming up from the Colts camp on Josh Downs as well. And I think getting him here at where they did was a massive value, especially by one pick. Was an incredible value. So
I think it was a great value. And hey, look, the Packers in the NFL showed that tight ends do matter.
Too busy getting help for Jordan Love.
Yeah, lots of help for Jordan Love.
Not get help for Jordan Love.
3 wide receivers.
Who was the guy that was announced in the Packers pick?
Leroy Butler.
Okay, Leroy Butler needs to not do that to Bob next year, all right? Because Bob was just in his feelings all night, and I get it. So we're kicking off our mock drafts in about 5 minutes, so let's take a couple questions first. Hiking and homes. I love hiking, and I have a home, so I really relate to this comment here. So I have the 101, 102, 14, and 107 in the rookie draft. Starting in 5 minutes, 10-team Superflex, 10 in premium. Cousins and Tua, Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson, and Tyler Lockett, Dalton Schultz. I'm thinking Bijan 101, AR 102, Gibbs or JSN at 104. I mean, I'm definitely going Bijan. And you said it's a Superflex. And Addison 107 paired with Cousins, Jefferson stack. What do you guys think? I'm definitely taking Bijan. That's easy.
Yeah.
And at 102, can you bring that first comment back up? I mean, look, between the 102 and 104, you're getting a quarterback.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't almost hate drafting Bijan and Gibbs, really.
Yeah, I think at the 104, this is a 10-team Superflex. We have Cousins and Tua. I don't feel great about either one of those in my quarterback one. So sure, I want to pick up one of Bryce Young or CJ Stroud there. But at the 104, I would definitely consider Jahmyr Gibbs in a 10-team Superflex rather than picking a 4th quarterback for my team.
Yeah, I'm with that as well.
Okay, perfect. Sean?
Maybe.
What's next?
Noah's saying, if I have the 104 and I don't need a quarterback, could I take Gibbs or Jackson Smith and Jigba without feeling guilty? Don't feel guilty about your draft picks.
Yeah.
I think you can do that.
Yeah, I think that's all right. I think, while BPA is always recommended, best player available is always recommended, I think, at the end of the day, you do have to do what's best for your team. And if you're quarterback full, if you can try to look to trade down if you can. If you can't,
grab a 24-second, go down to 105.
Something
like that.
Don't do anything too crazy if you don't have to. If you're confident that it's going to be a quarterback anyway, just get some value on top of that. It really helps you just feel better about that pick all the more. Otherwise, yeah, I don't need it. I would go Gibbs, by the way.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
Turntable.
The turns table.
Are you looking at me? All right, Jasmine saying, gentlemen, love the content. Thank you, Jasmine. Watch all the time. Hear me out. If Bam Knight plays over Michael Carter, then Izzy plays over Bam and Michael Carter. Yeah. Bam's got a year in the offense.
I like Bam a lot. I was high on Zonovan Knight before last year's draft. Unfortunately, he was an undrafted free agent, but he shows he has talent at the end of the year. I like Izzy, but I don't think he's a great runner yet. We talked about how he's raw as a runner. Like, the vision isn't there. Very athletic and can catch passes, but going to need some time to develop. I think Izzy will be their RB2 there next year. Absolutely.
I could agree.
But this year, I think it's going to be a while until we see him.
He's a stash. He's a stash.
I think he's a stash. At least
a good
mid-season.
stash.
I will also say that while Bam has been there for a year, there's a new offense there now. So this is
Sure.
Izzy is the pick you would think of. Who's the new OC there for the coach?
Hackett.
Yeah,
Hackett's guy.
that's something worth.
He got his guy. He's got his guy.
That's what matters in this draft.
It does in Jacksonville. I'm just saying, gotta get your guy.
Yeah, same in New York. With the New York Giants.
So what do you got for me over there, my friend? The Lawn Beast, and I love this. I can relate to this as a father. I was offered Jimmy G and the 108 for my 106 and 206. My quarterbacks are Kyler and Baker, and some backups. This is 10-team Superflex. Appreciate any advice.
I'm not like jumping up and down about this. I mean, unless you feel like you're a
In a
competitive
10-team
team.
league.
If you're a competitive team and you feel like a quarterback that's likely to be replaced within 2 years is worth your while for getting kind of a blue chip player at 106. That's where the cutoff is in these drafts, is that 106 in Superflex. So I'd probably stay put. It's not enough for me, especially kicking back that 206. I think that's almost just silly.
So got picks 103, 105, and 106.
Yeah, I would. Nah, I'm just taking the quarterbacks you want at 103. If there's one there at 5, cool. Otherwise, take Gibbs and Jason. Call it a day.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
All right, so Isaac is saying, I have pick 104. I have Fields and Josh Allen with Ritter to start 2 quarterback league. Should I take a quarterback still? I could use a running back, though. I don't know. You got Fields and Ritter and Josh Allen. What's the long-term? So is Desmond Ritter the long-term guy? We know he's the guy for this year, at least. So ideally, if you need a running back, you can get by with this quarterback room for this year and invest in a quarterback next year in a class. I mean, we keep saying that the 24 class is better, but it looks like the 23 class was better than we anticipated for quarterbacks, at least as per the NFL draft. So,
yeah, I don't mind Ritter as my quarterback 3 this year, but like you said, long term, I have my doubts. Now, I don't know what the running back room looks like here because if we don't need a quarterback, then we could consider Gibbs here. But, with the top 4, you have one of those top 3 quarterbacks. It's probably the right pick to make just long term. Unless you are a highly competitive team, then Gibbs might be the pick here because then you can get someone in your lineup quicker. He should have flex appeal right away, if not, top 24 production within a couple weeks.
There's another option here, too. And sometimes the options that are presented aren't the sexiest options. If you don't want to spend a ton of draft capital on a quarterback now and you feel that the 24 class is better, I would look for a low-tier starter as my quarterback 4, like a Baker Mayfield or something like that. See if you can get some, like a late-round draft capital. Somehow the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did not address their quarterback room. They're going with Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask for the season, which just feels really gross saying, but it is what it is. So that's another solution as well. Mr. Friscom says, is 112 to 24 first, and the 206 too much to pay for the 106 in Superflex?
I think that's about fair value, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's a tough pill to swallow, but I think the value dip that happens immediately
that
after
is
the
a tear break
106
right there.
is, it's very apparent, it's abrupt. I think that's about what you have to pay. The 206 is kind of a meh. I hate losing the first for next year. But
if you're a competitive team, if this is your 112 and you're a good team and you're trying to move up to get another good player for your team, that 21st is late, then I love this trade.
Yeah, especially if both those firsts are yours.
Yep.
Why not? You're basically trading 3 second-round picks for the 106.
This brings up a good point where if you're a competitive team, trading your future firsts is an advantage because yes, we all look at teams and we're like, okay, well, this is probably a late 24 first. But a lot of times, 24 first is kind of just under the umbrella of 24 first. So, if you think, you're one of the top 3 teams, trading your 24 first right now is great value because you're making your team better, which is making that pick less valuable and really just working a lot of things in your favor.
Okay. So it's about 12:15. Do we want to start mocking now? It's 12:14. We can
start mocking.
We can start the mocking one early, right? All right, which one are we starting with first?
Superflex.
Superflex. Let's do the Superflex.
A little bit of tight end premium here.
First, tight end premium. It's called Michael Bauer premium. Can we make that a thing?
No.
People make Matthew Berry a thing. Why not me? We got the same initials.
It's true.
No.
But
speak it into existence. So, all right, let's get started. And Zach, I believe you set up the room, so I'm going to need you to go ahead and press start. There we go. We are mocking.
Bob, you're up at the 102.
I am up at the 102. I am going to go ahead and take a quarterback here. I'm probably going to take my quarterback 1. It's not going to be popular, but I'm going off my board, and that is going to take C.J. Stroud here. I just, at the end of the day, I do agree that Anthony Richardson clearly has the most upside in this class, but there are still questions. Bryce Young, outside of, what he does on the field, there's not a lot of questions. The size, there's obviously going to be concerns. I think C.J. Stroud is a great quarterback. I think it's been a smoke show this entire time, which is really sad to think about when you think about just what the media decides to do to quarterbacks leading up to the draft and things like that. So I'm all about this. I'm hopeful that they can start putting more pieces around him that are more valuable pieces, such as more valuable than Tank Dell, and even though we like Xavier Hutchinson, not as ideal of landing spot.
John Mechie's there, and Nico Collins is there as well.
Man, watch out.
I'm saying, no, I agree with you. I agree with you that we do like these guys, but there's a lot of question marks there. So we got to wait and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Really going to drain the clock down.
Yeah, Huss, come on, Huss.
Come on, my man.
The anti
Got that auto pick.
You got to make the pick. The auto pick on it.
Okay.
Unfortunately. Who do you think goes next, Bryce Young?
It's got to be Bryce Young.
Yep, it is.
Looks
There
like
we
you
go.
got it in.
Oh, nice.
All right, so I can't really read.
That's LeVar's lost son.
All right.
We go AR, and now Nate, you're up at the 105. I think you're going to get some really good value.
I'm going to get some good value here. I'm going to pick up Jahmyr Gibbs. If I get a running back with top 15 draft capital, and we heard that the Detroit Lions were willing to take him at the 6th overall pick over Bijan.
Look, that's their guy. You can't.
That's their guy. Doesn't matter all the time what I believe. It matters what the NFL teams believe. And the Lions obviously believe very strongly in Jahmyr Gibbs. And I believe pretty strongly in Jahmyr Gibbs. So with that pairing together, he is an easy pickup at the 105 for me.
I will say this, I would, if I was here and Zach Charbonnet wasn't hated by the Seattle Seahawks, I would look into him. But I'm a psychopath like this guy. So Will Levis, 109. Could be a starting quarterback in a year.
Possibly. You don't know that. You don't know that he's starting, unfortunately.
Well,
It's nice draft capital to have in the second round, but at the end of the day, this is one guy you're hoping is kind of an outlier, which can happen.
Let's see who is on the clock.
Here.
I'm coming up here in just a second. I'm probably looking tight end. I don't love Charbonnet at the end of the first round. I don't love A-Chain at the end of the first round. I know Bob likes Kendra Miller.
I sure do.
That's
I
a good one.
love Kendra Miller.
I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I'm considering Mingo here, but I'm not gonna go Mingo here because Kincaid is available. I just took Mingo in a rookie draft yesterday, 202. So
I like that.
I like it. Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna go Kincaid because Kincaid fell, which is pretty awesome at the 112 in a 1.5 tight end premium league.
Sure.
So I'll take that.
Sean, you said that you had a question for us. We wanted to answer the super chat question.
Appreciate
Who is
you.
this year's thank you rock star? Who's this year's Chris Olave? Bob, you were the
Bob's on the clock.
100% Chris Olave truther. Do you have an answer for this one?
I don't know if there's a 1-for-1 in this class, but if I have an honest gut feel, I think it's Jaden Reed. I
love that.
had an impressively high score on him when I film graded him. The landing spot, the draft capital, opportunity is there, investment is there, talent is there. It's not the same investment as Chris Olave. I don't think there's necessarily a 1-for-1 of those in this class, somebody that's going to rise upwards so much. But I think Jaden Reed is somebody that, if you check out the draft guide, you'll know that is in my opinion, supreme value in this draft class. And again, thank you so much for the super chat. Just a reminder, all super chats will be, prioritized and guaranteed response to those questions. So as we keep rolling along, just won't be able to get to everything, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And we want to help you guys as much as we can. So
Of course.
Speaking of the draft guide.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, speaking of the draft guide, Sean, we had some new people pop in. Why don't you roll that for us one more time?
draft guide hype.
Draft guide hype. I'm on the clock. Hey guys, okay, I'm on the clock, and I'm between Tank Bigsby and Jaden Reed here. I'm going to go Tank Bigsby because he is my guy. What are you looking really bad for, Bob? Tank Bigsby's my guy. He's been my guy. He was my RB4 next to Zack Charbonnet before the draft. And even with the Jacksonville landing spot, I still like it in the second round because I think I'm getting a top talent at the running back position, and I'm getting him at a discount right now.
Yeah.
And maybe the production isn't there right away, but I do think that he has a significant role in that offense because I don't think ETN is the guy to have 30-plus touches a game.
I agree.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. So I think Tank is kind of locked into 15 touches a game, which at that
I
point,
think they both have high opportunity for that.
at that point, I'm very happy with it.
Boo on us for this because we didn't touch on this. We beat to death the Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet conversation, but very similar situation going on in Jacksonville with Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne. Now, Travis Etienne has a little more significant draft capital, but different coaching staff drafted him, different front office, all the things. So there's some weight to this that I think is a little more far-reaching than people might think. They were very vocal about wanting to have a running back in this draft. Speaking of adding running backs in the draft, Zach, the thing I love the most about you drafting Dalton Kincaid is I get to pick up Kendra Miller.
Yeah.
Too much Kenneth Walker talk over here. I get to pick up Kendra Miller at the top of the second round. Another guy who I think is a supreme value in this draft. Speaking of value, Josh Downs comes off the board. But Kendra Miller is a guy that I think is a great long-term play at running back. And while we don't get those kind of scenarios very often, This Alvin Kamara situation is in flux. You got Jamal Williams there, who everyone wants to treat like he's a locked-in running back too. When in all honesty, with DeAndre Swift just being DeAndre Swift, not being super reliable and things like that, getting hurt and all the things, just had a really good year last year. Saints pick him up, easy out after 2024, no big deal there. So I think there's a chance that Kendre Miller is the number one bona fide running back in this offense as early as next year.
Yep.
So,
It's a possibility.
That's a chance.
For sure.
and I'm up on the clock again.
Ooh, look at you, Bob.
Oh, Bobby changed.
Can we talk about me getting Zack Charbonnet at 212?
That is ridiculous.
I love it though.
Like that's a little bit too much hate.
That's too much.
It's a little bit
That's
too
too
much.
Listen, I considered him at my pick. I was torn right there between Musgrave Downs and Jaden Reed. I went Musgrave because of the slight tenor premium, and I still think at the 209 where I picked, I thought that was a fantastic spot for him.
I have no
But
idea.
then that gets followed up with Josh Downs, Jaden Reed, and then Zach takes Zach Charbonnet at 212. The screen back, he's going to open up the screen game in
Screen
Washington.
back.
Also got that value. I mean,
Yeah, it's good value.
Yeah.
I'm in on
at
that.
the end of the second round, why not? They obviously have some intent for him there. He's a part of the offense,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
I think that's just soaking up the value that falls to me at 212.
Yeah, I love that. And talking about value, I think, at this point you have to look at guys that have reasonable draft capital. I think Cedric Tillman is on that list.
Yep.
Not a player I love, guy I caught Cortland Sutton, and I think that's reasonable expectation with where he was drafted, the opportunity he's going to have. If he turns into Cortland Sutton, I think you're pretty happy.
Yeah.
I think that's well within
That's a
the
pretty good comp.
It's a great comp stylistically, athletically, the whole nine. Almost carbon fiber to the same player. But
I
so
love the Chase Brown pick at the 3-3.
I do as well. I was
I really
considering
like
him because I'm with him, love the player, love the prospect, love the talent, all the things. Don't love the landing spot. But Joe Mixon, all we've heard all offseason is turbulence with his contract, turbulence with him outside of the NFL, doing whatever things, whether it's on him or not, who knows, who cares. And then just, falling somewhat out of favor, but although it has been
We
said
could
that he's
make
their guy.
the parallel between him and Kendre Miller, where you're saying that Kendre could be the guy next year in New Orleans.
Yeah.
There's a possibility that Chase Brown is the guy next year in Cincinnati.
See, the thing I think you're hoping for with Chase Brown is a Isaiah Pacheco type situation where he just ends up the guy off of he's the only one left. Maybe they stick with him. I don't necessarily believe that they would. The draft capital isn't there to suggest that, like with Kendrick Miller.
Right.
There's a good investment there. I think he was picked like 71, so he was relatively early in the third round. It wasn't like he was a late round, like last pick of the third round or anything like that. So I think you can draw some parallels, but I think it ends up being that Chase Brown is somebody that maybe helps you this year. Like, I think he's a good dart throw in the third, fourth round, if you're a competitive team especially.
I hate to do this. I just want to thank Josh Hoff. Our first ever rookie guide purchase just came through. One of our favorite rewinders. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you very much, Bob. I hate to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
If
I
I'm
was
cutting
done.
you off with good
Miles
news,
doesn't.
that's a good thing. So
Thank you.
that is
Keep
our
it up.
first one. We appreciate you very much. And our draft, much like our rookie process, it plows forward. So, we were talking about, we go Keyshawn Boutte at the 3-4, Jalen Hyatt, then Zach's quarterback, one of the drafts goes to the 3-6. We got Hendon Hooker. And we were talking about Izzy before, and he's at the 3-7. And look, we have to be honest with ourselves. And I've said it time and time again. If you're drafting for starting players in the third round, you need to reevaluate how you build your team and how you manage your team throughout the season. These are guys that could potentially ascend the starting roles in your roster. You don't want to be relying on these guys right now. To me, anything after the second round, you're drafting for depth, you're drafting for upside, or sometimes you're drafting for what you think could be a safe floor too.
Yeah. And I picked Jalen Hyatt at 305. That's actually good value.
Really good.
That's a pick that you can't hate.
I can't hate it because you know what? I'm not the biggest Jalen Hyatt fan, and I think he's limited to a single role at the next level. But with how open that depth chart is with the New York Giants,
Sure.
there's a chance that he could be the number one target there, just because there's a lack of really good competition with him.
Yeah.
And now, do I believe he's a long-term play? No, but that's why I'm picking him in the third round, because he has a chance. He has a path, a very clear path, to be quite honest, to upside, to volume, to scoring me fantasy points.
He's that type of guy that can pop off for a couple weeks.
Great
and he can
basketball player.
flip. No.
In case you're wondering, Bob hates the term good Good best ball player.
Because nobody plays best ball. Not true, but it's definitely not anywhere near me.
You know what? If you want to play best ball,
You can just hit up our very own Dan Rozier. You can hit up Underdog Fantasy. Use the promo code REWIND for a 100% match of your first deposit up to $100. Promo code REWIND, all caps. Hit it up. Make 100 accounts. Do it 100 times. That's like $1,000, right?
Easily.
Roughly. Yeah, but that's okay. You got to spend money to make money, everybody. Look, math is not my specialty, okay? I'm the CJ Stroud of podcasting. Don't give me a math
I
test.
don't correct Mike when he does math. I just say yeah.
Or when I do cool sayings, like just go.
Yeah, we just let him have it.
That's the way I see it. So I want to talk about my pick here, too. After Darnell Washington, I went with Zach
I also
Evans.
love the pick, honestly.
And here's my thing. At the 309, like I said before, we're drafting for potential upside. And with everything that went on with Cam Akers and the questions last year, we've seen that when you cross Sean McVay, he has no problem getting rid of you, okay? Kyle Shanahan will he will ridicule you into obscurity on his roster and then eventually release you. Sean McVay will say, you're done. I'm stealing your girl. I'm getting you out of here. That's what Sean McVay does. So Cam Akers was kind of on the outs, we think. Zach Evans could be a good fit for the Rams offense. I'll take that piece at 309.
I mean, for me to be at all interested in Zach Evans, this is what had to happen.
It has to be. Here's the thing. If I was picking at the 3-2 where Cedric Tillman or the area that Chase Brown went off, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to take a pick like you made or Chase Brown to 3-3. But at 309, yeah, sign me up for that then.
Yeah.
I think the thing that needs to be said with these late rounds is with the landing spots that happened, we were very optimistic going into the draft yesterday. At least I was, and I convinced Nate to be, and now he's mad at me about that.
So mad.
We're powering through that in our relationship. But
It worked well together.
moving past that, there's so little upside to be had with what the landing spots end up being in the after the second round or in day 3, what translates to our rookie drafts. Like after the middle of the third, once things really get shaking out, you're praying for upside. There's obviously no guarantees. You're hoping to seek out guys that have some sliver upside. Like Zach did. Love your pick, Michael Wilson at the 312. That's what I was looking at my pick. So I had to settle on Pink Dell, who, again, I think all of us love as a prospect. I think all of us have great belief in his talent and skill set.
Yep.
But we do respect the fact that he is going to have to be a tremendous outlier at the next level to really produce.
You know what I think the problem is with these smaller wide receiver classes? Devonta Smith broke that mold. And with the slender frame, and
you need to see it first before you can
my
start.
whole thing is now everyone's like, well, we had this one guy do it, and now everyone else can do it.
Maybe there's a
only,
chance.
Yeah, maybe there's only one
The
Devonta
thing with
Smith.
Devonta is he's still 6 foot.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'm a size queen. I like.
I'm not as worried about
weight
weight as I'm worried about height, to be quite
Like
honest.
Bob. He loves it. Bob loves it. We're having a great time to draft together. I am excited to get home, and I'm excited about the 405. I love the Jaron Hall pick as well. By the way, at the 4-4, Parker Washington at the 4-3 either. But Nate, you took Luke Schumacher.
Let's go. We love some Luke
Our
Schumacher.
tight end 5.
We've loved him all along. We've been on Luke
Oh,
Shoemaker since day 1.
Day 0.
I remember he got recruited.
And I was talking to Nate about this when he was picked in the second round. I was like,
Who was that guy?
I'm not even that surprised because I went and put together a list of all the prospect encounters of all the teams that were looking at tight ends or looking at all the offensive positions, fantasy relevant positions. And this Luke Shoemaker guy keeps popping up. And like, it was nothing super significant, but everybody went to this guy's pro day. And something should have clicked there where I was like, maybe we should look into him. And we did. And, between the landing spot and the fact that I think he's an okay enough tight end, I'm all about this pick in the 4th round. More than happy with this here. Great pick overall. We start to see some quarterbacks coming off the board too, which is nice to see. Again, Zack, great advice. Just when you're at this point, those are the upside pieces to take.
Yeah.
Pick your flavor. Pick anybody you think has a good shot. Like if you think Matt Stafford is going to have trouble bouncing back this year, I think Bennett was the one they picked up.
Yep, Bennett.
Yeah, go take
Got
Bennett.
that bulldog quarterback.
Those dang LA teams.
I think Stetson Bennett would be a good mentor for Matthew Stafford.
Something tells me that no, that would not be the case.
I just want to say that I looked at a picture of Stetson Bennett and he looks older than me, which is not good. So, I'm getting raggedy in my old age. So we got a couple picks left. We got 2 left. We got K Wade and then our very own Zack. Zack, what's up?
I'm about to make if I get to make this
The steal of the draft.
not the steal of the draft, but there it is. Like, I don't know if any of these running backs in the,
That really
value.
could be.
in the fourth round have a better opportunity
Yeah,
than
no.
Sean Tucker.
Yeah.
It's the fourth round.
I think at this point, you're burning picks anyway. You may as well swing for the fence. And I think Sean Tucker, as much as I, am really concerned with what's going to happen, he's on a team. They're going to get to evaluate him more and more. And
It's a bad team,
sure.
Yeah, I agree.
which I think is good for him.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
That's
There's
true.
a lot more incentive to see what they got in the guy. But not that always pans out either. But, I think the same thing that happened with Justin Ross, this isn't the same thing. But you do have to take into consideration while he was medically cleared, what does that mean to the NFL? What does that mean to what he can do on an NFL field?
Yeah.
That's what you have to be concerned with. And I think you have to be ready and willing and able. If you're looking for room later, you need to be ready to just be willing to cut bait with this guy. Because I think there's going to come a point where, if he's on a practice squad for over a year and you're just not really seeing anything where he's, doing anything, it's probably going to be the same story as Justin Ross so far.
Yeah.
I was thinking last night, a lot of times people say fourth, fifth round, these are throwaway picks, just trade out of it. Sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes people aren't willing to trade up.
Sometimes it's fast draft.
So you need to know who to pick, and there's only one way to do that. Sean, if you could tell us the best way to know who to pick in the late rounds of your draft, that would be fun. I just want to remind everyone again, really, Sean? Thank you, Sean. I want to remind everybody again, make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit that subscribe. Link for the draft guide is in the description. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in, making all our hard work pay off. Just at 200 viewers currently. So thank you for taking time out of your Sunday to come hang out with us. So again, Super Chats will be a priority response for us as we can't get to every single question here. So Sean, do we have anything up right now? All right, this is one of our patrons here. This is, I'm not good at pronouncing names. I think it's Space and Feld, right?
Close enough.
I should know.
Looks good.
I should know. But they have the 201, 202, 206, 207, and Superflex was hoping to use those on running backs, but not sure, seeing how the draft went. Do I trade those seconds for veterans or focus on running back and tight end rookies? Listen,
we had Kendrick Miller go at 202.
That's true, and this is a Bob thing. If you're not sure, take that draft capital and send it for proven veterans. I love that.
Yeah, I don't know how many running backs you're realistically looking at there. You'll probably have a shot at Tank. You'll probably have a shot at Devontae Chain. Zach Charbonnet more than likely going to be there. I think you got who's there at the end of the first round, because A-Chain could be anywhere from the late first to mid to late second in my opinion.
And if you get some of those guys early, and you're really hyper focused on running backs, I don't hate using the 207 to move back and maybe pick up some of these value picks in the third round. We saw Chase Brown, we saw Zach Evans go in the third round. So see if you could use that higher pick to maybe get a couple picks in the third round as well.
Yeah,
That's not a bad idea.
I think I would be using those picks to focus on veteran running backs if I'm a competitive team.
Yeah.
Especially with the early ones, 201, 202, you can probably go after guys like Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, maybe even Javonte Williams, because there's some rumors going around that the Broncos are looking at Dalvin Cook.
Rumored he's also going to the Dolphins as well.
A couple rumors out there. So I think, if you need points in your lineup, the 201, 202 aren't likely to provide that very quickly at this point in the first year.
I agree.
So if you need points in your lineup, going after a Rashad White, DeAndre Swift, and Miles Sanders, those guys are going to help you a lot more.
I'd love to get Rashad White with one of those picks right now. I'd be all about that.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. So, Sean, you got one. And this is from one of our new patrons as of yesterday. So, Christian, thank you for joining up. What are you looking for in trade offers for Jahmyr Gibbs? Maybe multiple 2024 firsts.
Yeah, absolutely multiple 24 firsts, minimum of 2+.
I think if you're not getting anything this draft, it's got to be 2+, and one of them's got to look nice. One of them's got to look like an early first. If either of these are looking late, or either both, I should say, are looking late, I'm not as interested in moving back or moving off of Gibbs entirely. If I'm getting just two random 24 firsts, it needs to be like I'm moving back to like 201.
Yeah.
Like the trade we saw earlier.
Yeah, and maybe if I'm looking to move off Gibbs, I'm looking to pick up another running back like Najee Harris or Josh Jacobs plus.
I'm also down with that. Give me Najee in the first next year.
Yeah.
Everybody hates
Najee in the 24 first for Gibbs.
Insanity.
insanity.
Well, when you had 24 first.
Per sources. We did sell our second draft guide. So, Paul, thank you very much. We appreciate
Thank you.
you picking that up. Appreciate it. So, this is from Dane. I had a plethora of picks this year, and this is who I got. Any opinions? Stroud, Charbonnet, Quentin Johnston, Roshan Johnson, Josh Downs, Will Levis, Tank Bigsby, Kendrick Miller, Dontavian Wicks,
Yeah,
Hacker, Marvin Mims, and Hendon Hooker. And this is a 12-team Superflex tight end premium.
Great haul.
There is nothing more that I love seeing than rookie hauls.
Yes.
Like, show me,
I love
show
rookie
me
hauls.
what
Share.
you got for Christmas. Be Santa. Here's a little bag.
I love it.
Show me your new toys.
My only opinion on that is I would have loved to see a tight end replace Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah, that would have been great. Give me Davis Allen.
Davis Allen, a fan
I
favorite
would have been
of the Dynasty Rewind. Well,
not me.
people here, -1. Zach's a fan of Davis Allen, though, right, Zach?
Not really.
No.
There you go. Zach,
Big,
I agree.
big Schoonmaker fan.
Yes.
Thank you, Zach. This is Obi-Don Kenobi. What current quarterbacks should we be targeting with back-end first in Superflex leagues?
It's only Will Levis.
Just Will Levis.
Yeah.
I can't.
I can't take Hendon
I
Hooker
can't get
that
Ryan
way.
Hooker there in the after a third round draft pick. 25 years old, no chance. I think where he went in today's draft was probably good value. I think he was like 308 or something like that. I think that early third, late second is kind of where I'm willing to look around for him.
Yeah.
So
because I don't believe in the prospect either, so I'm lower than
I think the question here is what quarterback should we be targeting?
Jordan Love.
Back and Jordan Love.
Jordan
is the
Love.
answer. I think Daniel Jones
Sure.
is another guy you can go after.
I like that.
He was a bit more expensive beginning of the season, but I feel like that has kind of cooled off a bit.
I don't know if I want Daniel Jones because I think we talked about it yesterday in the live stream, but when you get players that you're excited about, like wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, when you get that going on and you're excited about all these guys, you also need to be excited about that quarterback for better or worse. You need to be excited about Jordan Love. He's worth a grab going after a late first or swapping a late first for him instead of spending that pick on Will Levis. Jordan Love is younger than, by the way, and Hendon Hooker already has some experience in the league, not necessarily playing a lot of games, but he's been able to train, learn an NFL offense, grow with some wide receivers on the team now over this offseason. A lot of positive notes in the building. They did nothing but add weapons for Jordan Love. However, they forgot to add the protection for Jordan Love. So
It's a good thing they got the best blocking tight end in the class.
They
can split.
They're crafty.
I would also add Kenny Pickett to this
I was
list.
about to say Kenny Pickett too.
That is
It was a good draft for Kenny
The
Pickett.
investment that the Steelers, not only in the draft, but prior to the draft, have made in Kenny Pickett. They drafted a left tackle. They drafted Darnell Washington to block and be a second tight end.
Yep.
And they did go out and get Allen Robinson. I know it's not a big get, but they got it for free.
Yeah.
So they are making steps and strides towards making Kenny Pickett a better quarterback.
They're giving him every opportunity to succeed.
I have two as well. You could probably get him for cheaper. There's possibly Mac Jones. There's a lot of
He hasn't
smoke
been
with-
replaced yet, so.
Yeah, he was not replaced. They did sign Malik Cunningham as a UDFA. I don't think he's a threat. And what about Aaron Rodgers? If you think you're a competitive team, you're trying to win the ship. I know he's 40, but you're playing in a small window anyway.
Nah,
Trying to win
good.
the Zach, look, Bob's good.
I'd much rather spend that pick on Jordan Love.
Fair enough. So, winner, chicken dinner says, with Sean Payton, yes, one of our patrons as well. With Sean Payton at the helm, Judy and Sutton been involved in trade talks for the past 6 months, and Tim Patrick not being a big play threat. Is Mims worth an early second?
I don't think you have to spend an early second on Mims.
I think he might be worth it, but you don't have to spend
You
it.
don't have to. I think he's somebody that falls into the back half of the second round. And I've been very vocal that I'm not super high on Mims. But I think at that point that's fair value. It's not blasphemy. But I think at that point, with all of this discussion, not that anything's happened, which I like to think it would have by now. At least one of them moving, I would think would happen if it wasn't just all smoke.
I don't know. DeAndre Hopkins has been moved. I think teams are just waiting to see after the draft.
Yeah, that's good.
You're also the second round of free agency that's actually
So
up
you
one
could
as well.
say that the phones are probably on Denver right now.
The phones are on in Denver, probably.
The feet are typewriters, and the lights are on in Nottingham, as well as microphones. Let's tell you what, why don't we do this? It's 12:42. Let's take another couple questions here, and this is from Brandon.
I love that.
One quarterback league. Am I taking QJ at the 104? Do you have to take QJ at the 104? Can you trade back a
No,
little bit?
I think he's in that tier at 104
You think
because
so? Okay.
because I think after you get past the top three now in one quarterback, we had this discussion I think after day one, where the three wide receivers that went after JSN, I think it's almost kind of pick your flavor. Like I can't really if you tell me you have QJ over Addison and Zay Flowers, I can't fault you that much.
Yeah.
Same with Flowers over the other two, Addison over the other two. They all have their pros and cons. They're all in the same, obviously very similar draft capital.
Mhm.
All went to pretty favorable situations. QJ maybe not right off the rip, but obviously has the most upside of the bunch. I'm fine with it. I think Kendrick Miller should be discussed here. I don't think you're going to have to draft him here either, though. But I think QJ at 104, I think is if that's your guy, I have no qualms with taking him here.
I love the word qualms, by the way. I think it's kind of underused.
It's a good word.
It is. Yeah, there used to be a pitcher, Chad Qualls, for the Phillies, and he was terrible. And I used to say qualms about Qualls, and that's clever. Sean, just love it, okay? Go get some donkey on the way home. So this is from, I'm sorry, I do not know how to say your name, but thank you for tuning in. Would you take Deshaun Watson, Anthony Richardson, or CeeDee Lamb if you went Fields round one? So I'm assuming this is a startup draft here. So we're going Fields round one. What are you feeling about the second round pick? There's no context as far as the league. I'm assuming if you're putting Deshaun Watson and Anthony Richardson on there, it's a Superflex.
Fields went round one, too.
Right. So what do you guys think? I actually don't hate going CeeDee Lamb.
The only one I'm not drafting is Anthony Richardson.
You think you could wait a few
I
rounds?
don't think it's
risky.
I don't think it's a few rounds.
Yeah.
I think in a startup,
Mhm.
it's rich for me.
Take some proven talent.
So much different when you have a roster already in place.
Mhm.
You know, being able to justify or want to take Anthony Richardson. Like, yeah, you're swinging for the fences, and the value is probably fine. But Deshaun Watson, somebody we think could be a top 9 guy.
Yep.
CeeDee Lamb, we think is wide receiver 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that range.
Mhm.
Anthony Richardson could be a top 5 quarterback, but then you have to start taking players out. Who comes out of that lineup?
And it could take a while too.
And it could take a bit.
These are raw
You
prospects.
know, there's no guarantee that they get things in line there quickly. So for me, I'm the only one I'm not taking Richardson. I'm fine with Watson if you want to fix your quarterback room right away. I'm fine with CeeDee Lamb if you want to start building your wide receiver room. I'm just not taking Richardson.
And Jim Irsay did say after chugging the buzzball that Shane Steichen was going to be the one deciding when to start Anthony Richardson.
Probably the best.
Jim Irsay should be making no decisions whatsoever. So it is 12:45. Zach, let's get the draft going. Let's wait till we get it up on the screen and let's do one more mock for today. We're going to be doing a one quarterback mock.
Yep. And if you haven't liked or subscribed to
You're
the
right.
channel, make sure you like the
Shares.
video. Make sure you
Always not
subscribe to the
shares.
channel.
Sean, do you need help getting the mock draft up?
We'll get it.
This one's a one quarterback.
This is
One quarterback,
quarterback
So we're
non-signing
just,
premium.
there we go. So we're
There we go.
buffering currently.
Just
So
taking the time to load.
this draft is going to be kicking off soon. Let me get into the draft room. I'm going to snipe Zach. That's what I'm going to do.
That's perfect.
Yeah, look, we get to hang out a little bit more. We're
At
sitting right
103,
next to
it's
each other.
not super,
Yeah, right.
not super.
All right, well, look, I did not get a running back. But that's on me. I could have.
How disappointed.
Oh, I had a chance to pick my draft spot.
I'm just going to do this. I'm going to take Jackson Smith and Jigba at the 103.
Man,
Love
don't
Jackson.
sound so freaking sad about
I'm
picking up that
putting my radio voice on, Bob. I'm taking Jackson Smith and Jigba at the 103. And then we got Zach and Zay Flowers at the 104. All right,
Zach's on Zay.
so Zach,
Mhm.
what is it about Zay Flowers? Is it the player himself? Is it the landing spot? Is it the quarterback he's paired with? What does it, or is it all
I
of
think
that?
it's all of that.
Okay.
I'm not sold on QJ the prospect. We've had this discussion the last few days.
It's been enjoyable spending time with you the last few days too, Zach.
It has. It's. I mean, we went to Chipotle. We took you to Chipotle for the first time. It's been pretty fun. So,
It's great. I
um,
had the Mexican dish there. It was fantastic.
the Mexican. It's a Mexican restaurant. Dude.
And that's why I enjoyed it so much.
But I like Zay Flowers, and I like what Baltimore is building there.
Yeah, I do too.
Which Nate's gonna like to hear because you guys think I'm anti-Baltimore. I'm not. And I do like the prospect. I like the player. It's so wild to me that I'm picking Zay Flowers at 104 when we started this entire process. Zay Flowers was like late second, early third.
Yeah,
Draft capital matters.
Dude.
Yep.
Draft
Yeah,
capital
all
matters.
those things, you know.
For sure.
It's just a wild thought, and just how much things change in 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, but I love the fit. I love the player. And the fact that Lamar Jackson is there helps this pick. If Lamar Jackson is not signed, I'm not taking that pick at 104.
Yeah, I think anytime you can get what I think profiles to be a wide receiver one, not necessarily receiver one, because I think we can agree that Mark Andrews is that player. But I think whenever you can get a wide receiver one, and this is why I like QJ so much, whenever you can get a wide receiver one attached to a top 6 quarterback for at least the duration of their rookie contract, I think that boosts the value a little bit. Nate, you are doing crazy.
I have to do what I want to do.
Look, Nate sticks to his guns. So
Stuff
after
my
that,
guns.
we got
my guns.
a little bit of a wide receiver run. We got Quentin Johnson, Jordan Addison. Bob takes Kendra Miller at the 107. You can see obviously the value dip between one quarterback and Superflex. It is palpable. Then we have Dalton Kincaid at the 1-8, Devon A-Chain at the 1-9, Tank Bigsby at the 110, and now Caleb's up one
Tank's
of
going to
our.
find himself running on boards here soon.
because of you.
Because of me. Nate says I'm going to mock draft every day just to make sure that Tank gets the appropriate ADP. And then Zach Charbonnet goes at the 111. So we got Obi-Don Kenobi, I believe, is up at the 112.
If I can explain my pick a little bit, because obviously I'm high on Tank Bigsby, and that's just the main reason why I picked him here. But also, like we talked about, he's in this setting, the running backs go quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was considering Jonathan Mingo, Jaden Reed here, Josh Downs, but I was only between Tank Bigsby and Charbonnet at running back, and then I'm not really happy with any of them after that into the second round. I can pick up a wide receiver, I think, at the 210.
I think you're right.
So that's why I had to go get Tank Bigsby at the 110. Now, could I have traded, if I was in a regular rookie mock, I could have traded back into the early second and picked him up? Sure. But here, I got to get Tank in the first and get a wide receiver in the second round.
You got him. You got him.
Double sniped.
There we go.
So I do love Nate's explanation of the pick. We got Michael Mayer being the second tight end off the board at the 2-1. I love that capital there, and I love his landing spot overall. Anthony Richardson goes at the 2-2, and then I went ahead. Zach, I'm sorry, but I took Jonathan Mingo at the 2-3, and I'm going to admit I did consider a quarterback.
I'm
going to wait.
I was more sniped by Anthony Richardson. I was hoping to get that first quarterback at 2-4.
Okay.
Mingo was a consideration.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also approaching this draft from like my mindset in my one quarterback leagues.
You already have a good quarterback, so you can take that developmental guy and let him, develop.
Or I just don't have a quarterback sometimes.
That is true.
So Anthony Richardson was who I was hoping to get there, but I think Bryce Young being the first overall pick is absolutely worthy of being a early to mid second round pick.
I agree. And then Marvin Mims at the 2-5, Josh Downs 2-6.
Just like the reverse. It's, whatever. But I was happy as soon as I saw Marvin Mims go off the board because I knew I was going to get either Josh Downs or Jaden Reed or have my pick of the bunch. I'm happy with Jaden Reed. Still love Josh Downs as well. But this is exactly where I said Josh Downs would land. Not as appealing of a landing spot as we maybe thought he would get.
I love that spot personally.
And I'm all about it. I don't know why anybody's real down about it. I guess if you're uber concerned at all with Anthony Richardson's development, you kind of have to be concerned about Josh Downs' production. I think that's all well and fair. I think at this point in drafts, like Nate was saying, we have great wide receiver value now that we didn't think we were going to be having in the second round, and just great value kind of in general across the second round. So super happy getting Jaden Reed here and talking about Josh Downs, even though I picked Jaden Reed. That's A-okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The NFL draft killed the running back depth and boosted the wide receiver depth.
For sure.
And I think it's less about talent and more about just how the NFL values those positions.
Yeah.
We've seen the wide receivers, they get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Running backs have not been paid.
Yeah, running backs have been.
And we've seen that same investment follow over to the draft.
Yeah.
Which makes Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson that much more important.
Yeah, there's just no incentive to have a highly paid running back anymore because, if you lose a game, it's probably not, and your running back was hurt, it's probably, you're not saying, man, we lost that game because we didn't have a good running back. You're saying you lost that game because you didn't have a good quarterback. You lost that game because you didn't have enough receiving weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it ever really boils down to maybe a good run game, but you can facilitate that by fixing your line, and that helps everything run better.
Yeah.
So it only matters when you have a Derrick Henry, you have a Bijan Robinson, you have a John.
When you have these high-end difference makers.
Jonathan Taylor might be on the outs with Evan Hull getting drafted.
Yeah, true.
Shane Steichen gets his guy.
True. Yeah,
So
that's a good point. Good point. So
it's just, I'm looking at this draft board here. And first of all, I'm loving what I'm seeing, but just, we always see differential between Superflex and one quarterback. This one is just completely night and day.
Mhm.
So, Nate, let's talk about your CJ Stroud pick at 210. I really like the value here at 210. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I had to pick. I think it's a value pick at this point. And
Agreed.
I wanted one of Reed, Downs, Mims, Mingo, but I kind of knew they weren't going to follow me at the 210 in a one quarterback.
Yeah.
I thought maybe CJ Stroud would go a little bit earlier, maybe one of them would follow me, but I knew it was unlikely. So I kind of have my sights set on CJ Stroud this entire time because he's my quarterback too in this draft class. And
He set the bait saying that, I can get a wide receiver 2 in the second round.
I just wanted to see if CJ Stroud would fall down that far, and he did.
Fools.
Look at where Anthony Richardson are. Look at where Bryce Young are, and why is there such a gap?
Yeah,
to CJ Stroud?
I think-
because I think they're all in the same tier.
Honestly, this is a really cool way to kind of look at quarterbacks because when you see this happen in a one quarterback, this is how one quarterback mocks are valuable if you're not a Superflex drafter or if you're in a Superflex league but you don't play one quarterback, it's still value here. You get to see like a nice tier gap that is clearly widely reflected when you have Superflex players in value. Then you get to that third quarterback that, even though I like him the best, he was my highest graded player.
Mm-hmm.
There's a clear gap there, far bigger than Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson, and I get it. And I think in one quarterback, Anthony Richardson is probably my quarterback one solely because of the upside and the draft investment is not as significant in a super flex. And if it misses, it doesn't matter as much as what you're drafting there, unless you're a competitive team and you want to draft like Kendrick Miller that's kicking around back there. Like I don't think it matters as much if you just wide receiver or Anthony Richardson. I just don't think the miss matters as much.
Well, what if I told you my plan the entire time was to get the stack? Get the stack. CJ Stroud.
You think I'm going to zig, I zag. You think I'm going to zag, I zig.
So, Nate, with the CJ Stroud and Xavier Hutchinson stack, let's just go back over a little bit of the third round here. 301, we got Chase Brown. Sam Laporta, I got sniped. Admittedly, he was my target with that next pick at 3-2. I want Roshan Johnson.
The running back one in Chicago.
That is true. He very well
One of
could
3
be.
running back ones in Chicago.
Very well
One
could
of 3
be.
running back 3 or 4s.
There you go, yeah.
Then we got Zach Evans at the 304, so getting a bit of a bump going from Superflex from quarterback. Keyshawn Boutte, Eric Gray, Michael Wilson by our very own Bob. We'll come back to that in a little bit. Tyler Scott, Izzy, you got X-Men, and then Will Levis goes off at the 311. So I think that's probably it for any credible quarterbacks right now. I think anybody else at this point, you can just pick up as a UDFA.
Yeah.
If you want a couple fat
I agree.
bucks, or just put in a claim on these guys. And then we round it out with Darnell Washington. Luke Musgrave going to Obi-Wan Kenobi at 212. So he must be the Green Bay Packers of this draft, piling up the back-to-back tight ends.
Got to get that value, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I would have preferred Darnell Washington over Tucker Kraft. He was on the board at that point, right?
He was one. He was kind of like a later third
Yeah,
round
yeah.
pick there.
There's
So
some medical concerns, though.
Who cares?
I do want to say too
Tucker
that
Kraft isn't going to play anyway.
I did see a couple tweets saying that this kills Pat Fryer's value.
No.
He's like the 6th receiving option in that offense.
Yeah.
Let's be clear
Darnell
about that.
Washington is there to he'll have his opportunities to probably siphon things away from Pat Freiermuth, in just an essence of like red zone targets and things like that. Maybe some shot play stuff here and there. But honestly, I think Zach, you made a great point with this while we were watching the draft. That this was a great move for not only Kenny Pickett, but especially Najee Harris
Yeah.
for his run
That's a great
blocking,
point, Zach.
run blocking ability. And this also opens up things like play action so that maybe, just maybe, we can run more than 15 plays in Pittsburgh and that OC can, expand his playbook.
Is Matt Canada still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We're counting down the days.
Counting down the days, week 6.
So Tank Bell at the 4-1, too small, the smallest player ever measured that
I
team.
love that.
Scouting Combine at the
I love
4-2.
it.
And I think it's a great spot. I want Will Mallory at the 4-3. What I can see is that I'm going to have a ton of Will Mallory this offseason, but I've been preaching that before the draft even happened. Zach, I like your pick at the 4-4, Sean Tucker.
My first pick in every 4th round is going to be Sean Tucker.
And I don't hate that at
I
all.
did, clear path to running back 2 on that team. His competition is what? Chase Edmonds, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Patrick Laird.
Keyshawn Vaughn's still employed, by the way, which to me is wild.
The only thing stopping Sean Tucker from getting into that offense that will need stopping at some point is a heart condition.
It says, I'm looking at his sleeper profile, and 13 days ago, it says Adam Schefter reported he has a clean bill of health. He received medical clearance.
That doesn't.
So
I'm sorry. The teams are looking at something that's not ringing right for them more than what we get to see.
Yep.
A clean bill of health doesn't necessarily mean Like,
It means he's not going to be drafted.
Contact.
It means he's not going to be drafted, but he'll be signed as an undrafted free agent.
There's been
which
players
he
with
was.
heart issues that have been drafted before.
Okay, so but spending a 4th round pick on that.
I'm fine with that.
I know that this value
I'm
is
just saying,
fantastic.
you can't have the expectation that he has a clear route to play because the number one thing in his way is his heart. Because I definitely agree he has a shot, and I need to make a pick.
He's got a lot of
that
heart, though.
I don't want to make.
If the ceiling on my 4th round pick is he could be the starting running back,
Yeah.
and the floor is he never plays, I'm totally
It's
fine
the
with
no
it.
problem.
it's the 4-4. You're okay with throwing away the
Yeah.
4-4
I'm totally fine for
on
sure.
some huge upside, and I love that. Who's on the clock? Bob Van, 47 seconds left. my friend.
Pretty sure I picked.
Oh.
Is it not updating?
I don't see it.
I show Pikachu is on the clock.
Oh, there it is. Let me
Yeah,
try it.
update.
Had to
I
refresh.
gotta update yours too because it ain't showing my pick.
Little sleeper.
Nice.
Oh, better turn my
Sure it's-
sounds off.
It's on our phones. It's not updated here.
Oh, there might be
So-
Sean got some, though.
So, Bob, you've been hating on this guy since Thursday.
Because I think he is if anybody remembers Josh Adams, that's my professional comp for Dwayne McBride. And again, this is a case of like, hey, let's go look for some upside. Dwayne McBride is a guy who could end up in that offense at some point and do something where I can flip him, I can use him for a little bit, something, whatever the case is. We're working on getting the Sleeper Draft board to update. Shout out Sleeper, shout out to StreamYard. This is great content, but we got it going. For whatever reason, it is just struggling along. We are now.
Oh, come on, dude.
Sean, do you want to, or is he actually timing out on that pick?
Yeah, he timed out.
Go ahead and auto it.
Okay, let me put somebody reasonable here at least.
Nah, Chris Rodriguez it is.
Chris Rodriguez.
No.
Or Brendan Strange.
I like Brent Strange here.
Yeah.
But I do like
No,
the
I would pick Parker Washington here.
Sure,
for Brent
sure.
Strange.
But I will say this, I do like the Dwayne McBride pick to the Vikings. If they do move on from Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison has shown that he can be wildly inconsistent. And I'm not saying that Dwayne McBride is the next Isaiah Pacheco or he's going to be the guy. But for a 4th round pick, if he starts a couple games and you have a championship contender sniffing around that wants to give you a pick that could be better than this, that is how you upgrade your roster within the next year with a player that you believe in.
Yeah.
Got to turn the bottom of your roster over. So Parker Washington,
That's the plan for me.
technically, I guess the best hands in the class, I've been told, which is a lie.
That's actually false. The best hands in the class is Dalton Kincaid.
Draft has some good.
I did get an update from Scardy. He said that's who he would have drafted.
Okay, so he was just having a little bit of a problem with his sleeper there, which sleeper can get clunky at times.
I mean, Sleeper's probably having a workout today.
I'm
I'm sure they are.
Look at me drafting Luke Shoemaker again.
The
That's
best.
410. That is fantastic.
That's
Value.
Honestly, should have been drafted ahead of Mallory. Should have been drafted. Probably had
Probably headed
Washington.
Darth Washington.
All right, so
Well, if you
Caleb,
could have picked him at your last pick, it would have been good value.
Caleb goes Brendan Strange then, which look, we got to put some respect on Brendan Strange's name. He's got the draft capital. You're going to have to wait a year for Evan Ingram to get out of the way. I don't think they signed Evan Ingram personally. But we'll see what Dougie P does with 2 tight ends. They're down in Jacksonville. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi on the clock for the last pick of this mock. Let's see what we got. Then we got Chris Rodriguez, who was selected by the Washington Commanders.
Spoke it out of existence.
So that was a great draft. Zack, thank you for setting up the mocks for us.
Yeah,
I really
no problem.
appreciate you. Thank you for making breakfast every day.
A healthy breakfast too.
Very
Healthy
healthy
Got your
breakfast.
veggies in there,
You-
your protein.
Whether you wanted to eat spinach or not with your eggs,
We got
you're
plenty.
going to.
It's more about whether you got to eat eggs with your spinach.
Yeah. True.
That is true. A spinach and egg omelet was most likely more like
Delicious.
So-
It's good for the rest of the food that we ate.
Let me take a little bit of questions here for a little bit, and then we'll have to wrap it up at some point. So this is from Brian. I have the 102 and a weak receiving core. My running backs are Najee and JT. Well, JT's going to lose his job down home. Just kidding. Should I add Gibbs or go JSN?
Gibbs.
Gibbs.
He's basically a receiver.
I would take Gibbs as well.
Just get the fancy points.
I think
in
he's
the
going to
line.
be a really good PPR back.
Yeah. This is again the discussion of best value available. You take Gibbs because if you really want to go JSN, you could take Gibbs and trade him for JSN.
Plus.
Immediately after the draft 4 more. So that's the way I like to play.
This is from, we'll say SCO or SCO. 12-team Superflex PPR, start 13, start 2 tight ends.
Oh,
Sounds like
wow.
a power league right here.
All the
I
day.
have the 109. I have Ingram and Chig. Assuming Kincaid is there, which I don't think he will be at the 109 and they start 2 tight ends.
It's Superflex. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, would you draft Kincaid or try to move back to grab more bodies in the late first, early second tier? If Kincaid's there, I'm taking him. If not, I don't hit.
I
don't
think that's
have Michael Mayer if he's not
I
there.
think that's a discussion you have when you're on the clock. I don't think you have to necessarily make that, end all be all decision right now. I think if he's not there and you don't really have anything else you want there, I think there's going to be good value there at the late first still. That's still a good pick to have. So I don't think you need to make that pick right now. And moving back, if you can get, that late first and an early and another pick, a second in a start 13, doesn't hurt to have. Because all depth kind of matters in a start 13. That's a deep league. It's a deep start.
Zack, you have some real-time ADP from the draft that you're doing right now. Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, this is shout out to the TD's League, by the way. They're doing the draft as soon as the rookie draft. Actually, they started after day one. But no clock, so you can wait if you want to wait.
That's nice.
Yeah. Superflex League, I think it's full PPR, half point, tight end premium. I mean, all chalk, the first 6 picks, right? And then we got QJ, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers. I think the most surprise pick was Devon A. Chain at the 110, which then pushed Dalton Kincaid to the 111, and then Will Levis 112.
Okay.
Michael Mayer 2-1. I took Mingo at 2-2. Charbonnet did go 2-3. Hooker 2-5. I was able to get Kendra Miller at 2-7.
Deal.
So it seems like Kendra Miller is really going in that
Great value.
late, early to mid-second round.
I don't want to link the prospects too much, but it's like, this is the same kind of thing people were doing with Alvin Kamara on the same team when he was drafted to be behind Mark Ingram and Adrian Peterson, who was there at the time. And he just falling down boards. I believe he was also a third round pick. I just think that the opportunity is going to come knocking for Kendra Miller a heck of a lot sooner than it isn't. There's a suspension looming for Alvin Kamara. I do believe there's an easy out in his contract after this season as well. And Jamal Williams, again, we can't say is just a locked-in RB2. I think he's a locked-in RB2 on that team. But I think Kendra Miller gets a chance to strut his stuff early in the season.
Yep.
If he does anything special, and I think that's very possible because I love Kendra Miller. He was my RB3 before anything happened and still RB3 today. So I'm loving that value. And I think if you want to learn more about values, there is a draft guide you can check out. Also, shout out David for picking up the 3rd draft guide. We appreciate the heck supporting this brand and everybody watching as well. Again, if you want more details on that, there's details in the description. And Sean is going to play you a pretty little infographic for the last time today on this live stream before we head on out of here and answer any follow-up questions, if that sounds okay to you, Mike.
Sounds good to me.
Let me just finish this up real quick. We got Laporta at 2-7, Downs 2-8, Bigsby 2-9, Hyatt 2-11, and Spears 2-12. I mean, I think the real surprising thing, I was able to jump back into the beginning of the 3rd round and snag Jaden Reed, and then Luke Musgrave went on. So I think those two are pushing each other down the board, I think. Is what I've seen.
So much value with Jaden Reed right now.
I will say that Zack is really good at manipulating his rookie drafts and moving around the draft board. He's very good at that. I'll give Zack
we all are.
Well, it goes back into what we always say: I have future capital to do that.
Yep.
So that's what I did. I offered a later 3rd and a future 3rd to move back into the early 3rd and get Jaden.
It's difficult to move around the board with the bottom of your roster.
Yes.
Yep.
But if you have future draft capital, even if it's 3rds and 4ths, you can use that to move around the board because people look at that asset and they're not married to whatever that player is. They're married to the pick, and then they can move that pick around.
Yeah.
So having that extra mid-late draft capital really helps you in that draft. We've been talking about that all the time in our draft consults. We have those available as well. The team always we're always talking about getting more draft capital, those 3rd, 4th, so we can move around the board come draft day.
And if you bought a team audit and yours is not done yet, we are not ignoring you. We've been a little busy up till 2 a.m. last night. And I do want to say, too, that there's a lot of people that after this draft, the NFL draft, are just turned off. And I understand it because some people, they don't see the landing spots they like. They're just off of guys. And this is why I always preach, get throw-in picks, get fab. These are things that all help you move around in the draft board to get players that you really like and that are really going to help you, turn over the bottom end of your roster and keep being competitive. So, Sean, do we have any more questions here? I'm assuming we have a few, right? So this is from Gerard, if I said that right. Which rookie wide receiver has the most production year one? And that's a good question because I don't think any of these guys go and they're slotted as the wide receiver 1 on their team. We've seen in the past with a guy like Devonta Smith. He was their guy from the get-go. Nate, you seem pretty excited about this question.
I think it's very easy that Jordan Addison is locked and loaded to have production from week one. We know exactly the role he's going into.
Mhm.
We know that the offense he goes into is a pass-heavy offense. They're moving away from Dalvin Cook. Right now, they're starting running back, assuming Dalvin Cook moves, is Alexander Madison. This team's going to pass the ball a lot to Justin Jefferson, TJ Hockenson, and Jordan Addison. And really just about those three are going to be getting the ball. I think Jordan Addison is in line easily for over 100 targets his rookie season. And when he does that, you're going to be happy you picked him up in the mid-back half of the first round.
We could say that the Irv Smith experiment's over now, right? I think.
he's
on
the
that
Bengals.
team. He's on the Bengals.
And so that's how over it is. I forgot that he even wasn't there anymore. Bob, do you have a rookie wide receiver that you think could be the highest scorer?
I think, honestly, what's sad is I think JSN has the least likelihood to be the most productive.
But I love the spot.
I love the spot long term. I think some things need to get shaken out there, but I think it's definitely possible. I think Zay Flowers has a chance because I think he's.
Yeah.
I don't think he's not the one in that offense outside of Mark Andrews.
OBJ helps him, not hurts him.
Sure. The big question though is how much of a shift change is that offense going to have? Are they going to go to a more pass-friendly approach like we think they are? Or are they going to kind of be set in their own ways and continue to run the ball? That's a big concern. QJ, Keenan Allen, wasn't able to stay super healthy last year. Mike Williams, story of his career. QJ has just as much a chance as I think it's those three. I think if I had to pick one, Jordan Addison is probably the pick because the expectation is immediately there.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy. They have KJ Osborne. He's a fun player, but at the end of the day, I don't think he's cutting into anything from Jordan Addison. The compensation to get Jordan Addison is so much more significant. They're going to want to use him day one, and I think that's going to be the play. I don't know that he's the most productive forever because these other wide receivers have a shot to get into, obviously develop a little more at the pro level and continue to just eventually surpass Jordan Addison because they have the shot to be the wide receiver ones on their team. And I think just due to volume, Jordan Addison will probably still be efficient, but I just don't know that he ends up matching the volume at the end of the day.
Zack?
I don't see how the answer is not Zay Flowers to me. I think the other three wide receivers that we're talking about is I don't agree with this statement that okay, JSN is good long term. Pete Carroll's 72 years old and Geno Smith is 33.
This is ageism, Zach. It's something like that.
I'm just trying to deal in real. This is Dynasty. We have to look long term here, okay? And I don't know if Geno Smith is the quarterback of that team in 2 years. Who is? I don't know if Pete Carroll is the head coach of that team in 2 years. Who is? So I look at Zay Flowers. He's in a system with a relatively young head coach, a relatively young quarterback, and seemingly an offense that's going to pass the ball more.
What I will say is, given the Zack Charbonnet pick, they might just run the wing T, especially
Possible.
Pete Carroll's age. You know why? Why throw the ball?
And look at the other options in Baltimore's offense too. Rashad Bateman, he's never played a full season, at least in the NFL, right? Odell Beckham, when was the last time he played a full season in the NFL? And Mark Andrews is, to me, doesn't take away from Zay Flowers. I think they complement each other very well. So I like Zay Flowers to answer that question, and I also like Zay Flowers the most long term out of all those three wide receivers. The other three, QJ, Addison, and JSN, because is Kirk Cousins the quarterback next year for Addison? Is it who did they just draft? Jaron Hall?
Jaron Hall.
Is it another quarter? I don't know.
If it was Jaron Hall, I would like that more than if they did in fact go from Kirk Cousins to Kellen.
And here's another thing too. Zay Flowers plays in an incredibly competitive, not only division, but conference that's going to be putting up points. In the NFC, it's the Eagles, right? It's maybe the 49ers, depending on their quarterback
I
situation.
think the 49ers will be back. I think the Packers are going to be really good this
But
year.
the 49ers are not a high-powered passing offense anyways. I'm saying in the AFC, I think there's a lot more scoring that's going to happen in the NFC because of the quarterback play, because of Mahomes, Herbert, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. You're going to need to score more points in the AFC than you will to win in the NFC.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun time.
Yep.
Sean, producer Sean, 1 second. You're not ready for this or anything, Sean? So Genji wants to know, why is Kendrick Miller going so high? Am I missing something?
I don't think he is going high.
Kendrick Miller, he's not going as high as he might be at this point next year, in startups and stuff like that. I think his value is pretty fair right now where you're
But
getting.
why he should be going higher is because Alvin Kamara is likely going to be suspended for 4 to 6 games.
We believe.
He's also 28 years old, I believe, by the season. And also the other competition there is Jamal Williams, who is probably just about 20 in as well. So Kendrick Miller, who is 20
closer to 30.
20 years old, is the guy I'd be going with, especially with day 2 draft capital. I think if you are fading Kendrick Miller,
20, you're making a mistake.
I don't know why, to be quite honest.
So he's a good player, good prospect, had a lot of good film.
And look at this draft class.
All
This is
without testing,
actually
by the
a
way.
decent
All
landing
without
spot.
All without testing, he managed to get this landing spot. So
Yeah.
keep in mind, he might have gone significantly earlier after this year. Alvin Kamara could be suspended for part of the year, easy out after this year, which I think, if he's suspended, why not get out on him while he's going to be 28 come that time, easy out on him. Jamal Williams has an easy out after next year. And again, you got to stop thinking that he's going to be anything more than he's really been all his career, which is a good number 2 running back on the team, not a running back 2 for your fantasy team. I think the problem is just, I think being too low on Kendrick Miller, I think is what you're missing.
I think the thing with Kendrick Miller is before the draft, most of Twitter and YouTube probably wasn't as high on Kendrick Miller. But if you looked at the NFL draft media, you looked at Lance Zierlein, you looked at Daniel Jeremiah, those guys, they loved Kendrick Miller. You listen to scouts, Kendrick Miller was constantly the 3rd, 4th running back they talked about, right next to Zach Charbonnet. I mean, a lot of scouts had him over A-Chain, Tank Bigsby, other guys like that. Kendrick Miller has been talked about in NFL circles for months now, and a lot of people are just now hearing his name for the first time. Take advantage of that because I think by June, July, Kendrick Miller is not going to be going mid-second.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we do just kick it to 1:30 here. Again, Super Chats will get your questions guaranteed to be answered. We appreciate a like and subscribe on the channel if you're enjoying what you see.
Yep.
But we'll go till 1:30, so you got 17 minutes. Why don't we do a little bit of a rapid fire to answer as many as we can? Until then, again, Super Chats are guaranteed. So Sean, if I say rapid fire, that means you got to get up there quick. So Pat's rule, iffy, rule 5. Guys, I did 208, 307, 308. Who should I 100% be looking at taking help? Well, with no context in the league, I mean, Kendrick Miller, if he's out there at the 208.
Jay Reed is probably a lock to be there at 208 unless you're going to lose with me.
307, 308. I like some of the value on these tight ends, like Luke Schumacher going late.
Michael Wilson.
Michael Wilson, 307.
Wilson. I'm not the biggest Michael Wilson fan, I will say that, but I don't hate at that point in the draft. taking
Chase
chances
Brown.
like that.
Nice
Chase
play.
Brown, 308, 307.
Hey, you might have to be a little earlier in the 3rd round to get Chase Brown. Possibly.
I don't know that you are. I mean, unless stuff starts kicking off with Joe Mixon again.
Yeah.
I don't see that being the case. Because maybe, you just go off, I think, at 3-4.
But we're higher on Chase Brown in our community.
That's a good
than
point.
consensus.
You've been pounding the table for Chase Brown for a minute.
We'll bring the next one up, Sean. This is from Chandler. Judy in the 24-second or Cam Akers?
Judy in the 24-second.
Yeah, I'm going to give me the productive wide receiver in the pick over a replaceable running back in the 1st round pick. Because that 2024 second could be the 201 for all you know. Jasmine says, I have Rashad White. Do I draft Sean Tucker in round 3? You might not have to. You might be able to.
I try to wait till round 4 if you can. Or if, let's say, there's only 3 rounds, you might be able to get him as your priority UDFA.
That's true.
So I wait till the 4th. I'm not.
Don't talk about Sean Tucker at all.
Unless it's like very end of the 3rd round, I'm a little more fine with it. But 4th round is where I'm ideally looking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I totally agree. There's too many players of good enough value in the 3rd, even the late 3rd, to spend that on Sean Tucker, who has all the concerns we just spoke about with the heart condition.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's a no-brainer once it gets to 401. But 310, 3, if I can get a Michael Wilson, if I can get Chase Brown, who I agree probably a little bit early in the 3rd, that's where I'm going in the 3rd. I think there's still a little bit of value in the 3rd.
Yeah.
Sean, what do we have next? This is from Ethan Electric. 10-team, 1 quarterback. I have the 102 through the 104. Is A.J. Dillon, James Cook, Isaiah Pacheco, and Rashaad Penny at running back. Justin Jefferson, Waddle, London, Sky Moore at wide receiver. I plan on drafting JSN and Gibbs. I'm wondering what to do with 104 Trader Who. Can you move the 103 and 104 to get the 101 and draft? And come away with Bijan Robinson
Honestly,
Gibbs?
get Bijan Gibbs. If I can move the 103 and 104 for the 101, I'm doing it in this situation. The 1 quarterback, I'm doing it.
I'd do it. Yeah, if you can't, let's just say
with that wide receiver core too.
Yeah.
I mean, Drake London, you're a league winner.
Let's just say you can't 104. I'm going Kendrick. It's early, but I don't see the reasoning in a one quarterback to really focus on those wide receivers that went in the first round.
Yeah.
Based on what I think.
Not with that wide receiver core.
Not the one.
What's that?
Not the 1 and 4.
Yeah, no, I think, given what I think Kendra is as a player, a prospect, all the things, like I said, highly rated, great landing spot. When you peel the layers back, definitely not at first glance, but I'd be looking 104. I think you get to rejuvenate that running back room one way or another. But I think it's Gibbs. If you can't move Gibbs, JSN, then you go Kendra Miller and you call it a day. And ideally, like we said, get 103 plus 104.
Yeah.
One.
But we got a super chat here. Chase, we appreciate you. So
Love
is
the
that?
photo.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Who is
That's what we were
That's
saying
from
when
the
Zack
last
Evans
dance.
got drafted in the 6th round.
Okay.
That's what we were doing.
A 12-team start 9,
Just
15
like
yard,
the comments on Fire. Why not?
1 quarterback tight end premium, and the tight end premium is 3/4 of a point. So give Drake London and get the 105 for Flowers or QJ, 107 the 24-second, and Elijah Moore. I mean,
Get
yes.
London, get
Do it!
107,
Do it!
24 seconds.
that's fine. Ask for $3-5 too.
Oh my
Why not?
gosh, absolutely. You make that trade 100% of the time.
I would explore better options, honestly. Like I think it's fine value, but I think with London, I think there's better offers to be had where you can get earlier first, and I'm dead serious because seeing how people value, they will
Wide
call
receiver
it
0.
they will call it a buy low when it's not. This is a good deal, but I shop around and just again, if you're willing to move an asset, get the best thing you can. If this is what you end up with, I don't hate it because you could always package 105 and 107 to try to get to 103 and 102. And then you effectively traded Drake London for Gibbs, JSN, plus 24 second and Elijah Moore.
That would be awesome.
Elijah Moore to throw in, but
You heard it here first.
that would be, again, just allocating the assets the best you can. I think it's a fine deal.
All right, Sean, what do you got for me? This is from Greg, 103, 305, or the 107, 206, and the 24 first. My quarterbacks are Mac Jones and Kirk in a 12-team Superflex.
I think you got to stay. I think you got to stay because you need the quarterback.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
You can't drop out of that top 4 when you need a quarterback like that.
And I don't think, the moving up from 305 to 206 is valuable enough for me to even really consider it, whether I had the quarterback need or not. In all honesty, I don't think moving down the 4 to move up, what is it, 9 picks?
I mean, the 24th first is nice, but I need the quarterback in my team now.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't even see the 24 first.
Yeah.
There's a tripod in my way. Forgive me. But I think it's fair value. But again, now the quarterback need comes into play.
Yeah, we got to
where the opportunity cost is better there, I think.
All right, Sean, where's our next question? This is from Brandon. 1 quarterback, 12-team PPR. The 109, it's like Charbonnet, Devon A. Chain, or Kendra Miller. Of the 3, I like Kendra Miller the best.
Tank Bigsby.
Okay, well, sometimes, you know what? And this just shows that sometimes the best option is not the one that you might be thinking of. Nate does have a good point. If you like Tank Bigsby, he is WP's guy, but for me, it's Kendra Miller.
Gets mentioned.
Bob says Kendra Miller. Zach, where are you going? Hometown boy, Devon A. Chain?
I might look at Dalton Kincaid there.
I don't hate that either, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I mean,
if there's no premium,
If there's no premium, then
Yeah.
maybe not. But
if there's a premium,
I
he's on the board.
probably would go Kendrick Miller.
But
Out of those 3, I would go Kendrick Miller.
all right, there we go. Sean. Mike says, I have the 101 and 104 in a heavy rebuild. Need a quarterback. Haven't been able to trade down yet from 101. Should I take Bijan or Richardson with the 101? What you should do is what Zach said yesterday. You should draft Bijan Robinson 101, and you push one of those quarterbacks down to you at 104.
Yep.
And that is what you do. And you know what? Here's the thing. You're going to get – I really think you'll have either your choice of CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, because I think someone at the 102, 103 might take Anthony Richardson.
I'm pretty sure that's how
I'm confident CJ Stroud is probably the.
You're probably
player
going to
you
see
end up
Stroud.
And if I'm leaving in a heavy rebuild with Bijan Robinson and CJ Stroud, I want to see your rookie haul. Show me, let's see what you got, because I'm thrilled if I'm leaving my rookie draft.
Yeah,
It's a great start.
I mean, you could also, I know Mike says he's in a heavy rebuild, but you could just check in with the 102 and 103 and see what it would take to move up.
That's true, but at the same point in time, too, Bijan Robinson might fetch you more as a productive player in the NFL than right now before he's ever been drafted. So that's one way to think of it, too. Sean, Johnny on the spot with those comments there. 1 second. Sure, I'll wait.
Yeah.
I got all day. Carson Buck says JSN over Quentin Johnson for sure.
Easy.
Zack, your consensus?
Easy.
JSN's our wide receiver 1.
Just based on the talent.
Talent every situation.
Yeah.
Here we go. I don't know what that means.
I wouldn't make him.
Okay. Grant says, do you see Chase Brown overtaking Chris Evans? It's possible.
It's already done.
Yeah. I think that is done already.
What about who else is there? Is it Travion Williams?
Oh, he's done too.
I think.
His goose is cooked.
Yeah.
If he's still there, his goose is cooked.
Yeah, really, he was a thing for a while in
He was
circles.
never a thing, but he
On
was a thing.
sleepers,
He was
trending.
hyped. He was
exactly.
hyped. Let's put it that way. But
Yeah, he
NFL
was
never-
what was the Chiefs running back who was picked in the 7th round a couple years ago?
Grant, are we related by chance?
Oh, I
I'm
know
just
you're
out
talking
of
about.
just out of curiosity. I got the same last name you saw.
Darwin
the same
Thompson.
one I do. So
Darwin Thompson.
let's do a 23andMe. Maybe Grant and I are long lost relatives. That'd be cool. Sean, what do you got? I'm sure you have a comment just ready to go. Or, Okay. I'm sorry, I do not know how to say your name. I need a quick answer. I have Chase and in a full PPR. Someone sent me the 102. I'm assuming Jamar Chase here. The 102, the 108, and 109 is a 10-team Superflex. My quarterbacks are Herbert, Watson, Kyler, and Hal. I'm super deep at wide receiver and running back. Should I? You know what? Just because you're deep at wide receiver doesn't mean that I want to trade one of the best wide receivers.
Exactly.
in Dynasty.
It's not necessarily the depth. It's also the quality of that depth.
That's what
Is your next best wide receiver Christian Kirk, who we like, but not as a wide receiver one
He's
on
not Jamar
a
Chase.
fantasy team? Or is it like CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown?
But even still, this is a 10-team league.
Right. True.
I need my studs in my starting lineup. I'm not moving Chase.
Yeah.
for this.
No.
Sorry.
I
It's 3 first, which is great, but
I think it's the problem is the late-ish first. If one of those was like 104 or 103 instead,
different story.
we have a conversation.
We're talking about it then. Chandler says, made the trade this morning, wanted to know this community's opinion, and thank you. We're the best community out there on YouTube and everywhere else. Also have the 101 and 102 and Brees and ETN.
and then Sean's gonna put the trade up.
We think?
I'm assuming.
Is
I'm assuming. Sean.
Let's get buried up.
There we go.
There we
Oh,
go.
there we go.
That's
Trade
great.
Judy.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
great.
we love
Yeah,
that
we love
trade.
that trade.
Okay,
Love
yeah, great.
Good
Perfect.
job.
So thank you,
We
Sean.
We got good players coming in the
Can
rookie
we
draft.
just give it up
Good
for our
job, Chandler.
producer Sean real quick?
Yeah,
Thank you for
Sean,
all his
he's
comments.
worked really hard on the draft, guys.
Yeah, I'm
a
actually-
little tired.
I'm really concerned because I have my phone unlocked here just in case Sean's commenting on anything that needs to be done, anything. And his wife sent us a message on Instagram, so I'm kind of curious to see. I think it might be send my husband home. All right, so Blind, thank you for the super chat.
Appreciate you.
12 teams start 10 on the board at 105. Do I take CJ Stroud or Jackson Smith and Jigba? Quarterbacks are Hurts, Mac Jones, and Jimmy G. Wide receivers are Garrett Wilson, Devonta Smith, Treylon Burks, Jahan Dotson. Could use another quarterback, but I love JSN. Or do I trade back one pick and the latter? I mean,
I think you got to go Stroud.
yeah.
I love Jason too. I understand the struggle, but it's best available.
Stroud and Hurts is going to be a really good
Stroud
combination.
is best available, and it fits a need.
And you have good wide receivers already.
Yeah.
And in a couple of years, your quarterback room could be Hurts, Stroud, and Mac Jones as your
There's-
quarterback 3.
There is a chance you can buy low on JSN later in the season.
That is true.
There
That
could
is
be a
true.
very slow start for JSN. It could happen. I'm not going to bank on it or, God forbid, root against it. But
Yeah.
root for it. I should
It's
say.
possible. But yeah, I'm definitely going Stroud there. Zach, are you going to
I would say here for sure because while we like Mac and Jimmy as quarterbacks, they have no guarantee in 2024 being starting quarterbacks.
True.
Exactly.
True. There's been a lot of speculation there. Jimmy G getting older, and I think he signed like a 2-year deal. Something like that. Probably easy out. Sean, Canubis says own the 101 through 104 and talks about the 104. I'm assuming the person that wants that wants Stroud. Is it worth the 111 and a likely early 24 first for Stroud? I wish that 111 was a little bit earlier.
I want a little bit more on top of this. I do like that because you're getting Bijan, you're getting the 2 quarterbacks.
And it is a Superflex 12-team PPR start time.
I want a little bit more.
Thank
Can you
you
get
for
a
the
second?
context.
Can you get something a little bit extra? 111 is fine. Like you can still get another quarterback if you need. You can get Levis there. You can get Dalton Kincaid. You can get Kendrick Miller.
Yeah.
A 24 first is great.
Yeah.
It's probably a late 24 first because you're getting 111.
It says likely early, so
Likely-
it's probably an adjacent.
Oh, okay.
It's probably an adjacent.
So the nice thing is about this is if you're losing out on CJ Stroud, you could potentially maneuver and get a Caleb Williams or a Drake
Yeah.
May next year.
I think because the likely on there, you need to get a little more to make up the value that
You
if that pick
guarantees
is
now.
if that pick isn't 101 to 104, if it's 105 to 107 or 8, lot less appealing pick, lot less value on that pick. Just judging off this board that we're looking at now. So I need something there. Whether it's a second next year as well, second this year on top of the 111, something to provide a little more insulation on that value that you're possibly going to miss out on. When you make trades, don't necessarily just make trades for value. Make trades for things that may not go well. Don't necessarily put the value on that likely early 24 first. Put that value on a mid, tear it down a little bit to make sure you're getting value for what that pick could be, not what we think it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. I think, you have to have a conservative approach when you're projecting future draft capital. Because if you're aggressive with that, that's a quick way to destroy your team.
Yeah, it's a good way to miss out on value.
Please, Zach, you have something you want to say?
I just to echo their points. There's 4 months before we set a lineup. It takes one other bad owner to make a bad trade to that team
Yeah,
to now
great
tank the value of that 24
That's
first.
true. That is a really good point, Zach.
Great point.
Sean? Chase says, one quarterback pick value of DeAndre Swift. Keep up the great work. You know what, Chase? We're going to keep up the great work. And DeAndre Swift, unfortunately, he is more valuable now than he was yesterday. So what are you guys thinking?
I was thinking 108 is kind of my first gut reaction.
I am not.
Yeah.
And here's the thing.
If I'm a competing team and I need a running back,
He's going to get the Philly bump. He now goes to a crowded backfield, just like the Kansas City bump, the Buffalo bump. I am not offering anything. And, of course, I'm not saying this will get done. I'm starting at the 206. Plus more. And I understand that. You start low, and look, if you get laughed at, then you start a conversation.
I think 2 seconds to get it
might
done.
get it done.
Not right now, though.
One has to be early.
Of course, but I don't want to just start throwing out first-round picks. Like
If you want DeAndre Swift, so I don't know if you're trading or you're buying. If you're selling DeAndre Swift, then I want a late first, early second. If I'm buying DeAndre Swift, I'm waiting. Because the time to buy players is never after they get traded.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the worst time to buy a player. It's the best time to sell a player, but the worst time to buy a player.
Yeah.
Unless,
I'm sorry, good job.
especially because Swift's situation's a little murky.
I would also wait until the official team depth charts come out, and when he is not listed as the running back one, which I do not think he will be, just being completely honest, just knowing how this team operates, that's when I make my move for him. And of course, it might not be helpful to you because you want to move these rookie picks now, and I get that.
Here's the thing with the depth charts. Nobody is going to take anybody at their word for saying that DeAndre Swift is their running back 2. In everybody's mind, DeAndre Swift is going to be the running back 1.
I disagree.
I disagree.
Over who?
Have you seen Twitter? Have you ever been on Twitter before?
I have been.
I think the DeAndre Swift trade impacts Kenneth Gainwell more than Rashad Penny.
Yeah, agreed.
I think they want Rashad Penny to run the ball, and they want DeAndre Swift to catch the ball. I've seen this team play for over 30 years. I know Nick Sirianni, how he runs an offense and how Ben Johnson's going to do it. And honestly, I think that's how it's going to be. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I think they're both going to be productive players in their own right. I just think right now that's how it's going to go. And Sean is texting me saying that he has one more question. Is it from your wife? Is she watching the live stream? She's not watching the live stream.
No support.
Anthony says, one quarterback, 12 team. Well, if she was, she could super chat it. So Anthony says, one quarterback, 12 team as the 103 and 104. Planning on Jason at 3. At 4, either a Chain or Miller.
We're pretty consensus Miller around here.
Yeah, I think
At 104?
I think
And one quarterback.
It doesn't matter.
I think it's too early for A-Chain.
It's too early for both.
If you need a running back, that's what you mean.
Then trade back.
If you can trade back, sure.
I think
but
you can probably trade back if you need to.
Maybe like the 107.
And take a
That's
third round
right.
running back over a first round wide receiver?
I mean, Miller's our RB3.
I would trade back if that's
So
what we're trying to do.
I think there is something to be said. Definitely trying to trade back.
You're losing a lot of
I
value
don't think anybody's going to look at Miller positively, especially instant reactions. Maybe when things start to get peeled back, people have time to kind of catch up on Kendrick Miller. Was not a hot name, as we kind of approach the process. It
was for me.
It was for me too.
Yeah, we all were pretty consensus. We liked him here at the Dynasty Rewind.
But I think trying to move back to that 107, 108 is probably more appropriate value, especially whatever you can get on top of that if you were to draft Miller anyway. I think it's fair. I don't see Miller realistically going ahead of those guys in a draft, although I think he should at least be up for consideration, whether or not that's right. But again, we're talking BVA, best value available, not necessarily best player available all the time.
I think the problem with one quarterback leagues is after the first 3 picks,
Running back does get inflated.
running back gets inflated, but
sure.
But that's not
but I
best
can
player.
get wide receiver, but then there's 3 or 4 or 5 wide receivers I can pick up. From 1-4 to like 110, it's all the same to me. It's just about if you want to make sure you have your higher picks, you can get your guy.
Sure.
Because all the values are around the same. I can get Jordan Addison, I can get Quentin Johnson, I can get Zay Flowers, I can get Kendrick Miller, I can get Tank Bigsby. I have all those guys in a similar tier based on positional value.
If I have to take one of those guys at 104, I will do everything in my power to trade back and take a Tank Bigsby, take someone else, because that is not best player available, and that's how you lose a lot of value. Like if you have the 104 and you earned it, that means your team wasn't good enough. And while I'm not saying those 2 players can't put up fantasy relevant numbers, I believe in Kendrick Miller. I think that is a big reach because that is not the best player available. He's not the 4th best player available in a 1 quarterback.
Okay, I'll do this. I'll try to turn 104 into Kendrick Miller plus.
I
Yeah,
totally
I love
agree.
it.
Totally
That's what we
agree.
discussed.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so thank you everybody for tuning in today. Thank you for the people that have bought our rookie guide already. We appreciate you guys. We would also appreciate a like, a sub. Any comments are great. Don't forget to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. We have 3 tiers, and there is a yearly 10% discount if you sign up for a whole year. 3 different tiers. Like I said, the top 2 tiers get you bonus podcasts. It's by myself and Nate every week.
Yeah.
Until next time, everybody, happy drafting. If you need any help, payhip.com/Dynasty Rewind. Plenty of ways to help you there. So, Zach, Bob, Nate, I'm your host, Michael Bauer. Until next time, everyone, be kind. Please rewind.